Hey everybody, welcome to another tip of the week. And a couple of weeks ago, I had drawn up in one of the tips, I talked about Stephen Covey's four quadrants or the time management matrix, where we talked about things that are crises, things that are urgent and not important, things that are important but not necessarily urgent, like business development, and on and on. And you can watch that video just by going into the history of my tips of the week. But the reason why I wanted to bring this back is because so many people found that very, very helpful as far as how to start looking at how they look at their time. And what that means is, what is a crisis? What is really a crisis? What are the things that they need to be working on? But what's been happening is I'm getting a lot of feedback now. They're saying, Ron, I love this idea. I want to be able to do it, but I'm still struggling to find the time. And so today's message is really a simple message. And the message is, stop trying to do it all at once. See, one of the reasons why time management webinars or seminars typically fail miserably is not because of the presenter, not because of the webinar, but what happens is people will watch these and they'll say, oh, they'll buy the day timer, or they'll get on, whatever software program, whatever it is that people will do to try and organize their time, and then they try to do it all at once. Now, depending upon your age, let's be realistic here, okay? You've been doing what you've been doing in your life, living your life, working in your life for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The likelihood of you just changing a habit of how you organize your time is near impossible to do it all at once. So what we want to do is we want to start doing it in little pieces. But the first thing I wanted to show you is I just wanted to imagine this is your world. Okay, so this is your world, and you've got all these things going on. Okay, so what you're trying to do is you're trying to reorganize this, but then wait a second, you've got a bunch of things out here that you want to add or improve or work on, and you're trying to get them in here inside your world. So what many of us do is we run out of time because we just can't make the room for it because this isn't organized. So the first thing that you've got to do before you start inserting something new is take what you have and start looking at it and figuring out what are those things you're supposed to be doing, what are those things that you're not necessarily doing as efficiently as you should be, and then start reorganizing them in a way, one by one, which is going to free up how you operate, because we can have all of these tasks going on, but if we don't prioritize them in the right way, then what happens is this just becomes more confusing, and then we just default back to what we were used to doing. The other thing we've got to realize is we have all these things going on, and you may have to take some things out to make room for things to come in. Now, taking some things out doesn't necessarily mean eliminating it. It could be leveraging it to other people. One of the things I talked about in last week's tip was, what is the highest and best use of your time? Well, if there are things in here that are not of the highest and best use of your time, but they are still important, then we look to get somebody else to handle these things for you, a virtual assistant, an employee, whatever the case may be. Now, I am not saying right now jump out and start hiring people. What I'm asking you to do is start looking at what is going on in your world and ask yourself, what is one thing I can do to become more effective, more efficient? What is one thing I can do? Let me give you this. This is the simplest example I'll give in coaching. Once in a while, I'll hear from a client, they'll say, I'm chasing borrowers for documents. I'm just wasting so much time chasing them. It's multiple phone calls, or my assistant is chasing them, or what have you. Well, what I do is I immediately ask the question. I say, how are you setting up the relationship with your customer? Are you just sending them a list of documents? Are you scheduling an appointment with them to go over the documents with them? One of the things that I ask my clients to do is not only schedule a time to go over the list, but ask the customer to make a commitment. Ask them on the list, is there anything that you have on this list that you will feel you will have an issue getting to me right away? And if they say, no, this is all pretty easy to do, you say, great, when will you commit to getting this to me? And what happens now is you've gotten the borrower to make a commitment to you as to when they're going to give something. Now, this is a very simplistic example, But what I'm asking you to do is constantly, and this is what I do with my team consistently. We're not only looking at what we need to do, but we're looking at, are we doing it the best way? Are we executing the best possible way? So don't try to do everything all at once. Don't try to reorganize everything because it's going to be counterintuitive to what you've been doing. Just start picking pieces little by little, okay? And start really asking yourself the questions, not only what is the highest and best use of your times, but what are things that I can improve my efficiency with or my team's efficiency with, which is then going to free up time for you to either bring more things in, move things out to a virtual assistant or someone else, or you might just take something and realize you don't need this. It was an idea, it was a thought, but it wasn't a priority. Hope this helps. See you next week.